What's up, planet Earth? Carl Shepard here. I hope you're well. I'm just checking in for episode 27 of the Sober October Challenge video diary project of mine. Had a really good day today. We woke up and went to the gym. Had a good workout. Nothing too fancy. Watched some people do the CrossFit Open 20.3. That was fun. We went to the store and bought a whole bunch of food and came home and cooked for our 5th annual Halloween dinner party. We did pumpkin carving and had some cool people over. I got to catch up with a guy that I hadn't seen in, I want to say, about 5 years. Came by from, we used to work at Goldcrest Distribution together when I was living in Mexico, Missouri. That was good. That was a good chat. I'm glad he's doing well, and I hope he does go back and tell everyone I said hi. I'll post some pictures and maybe a little video or something of tonight's festivities. Here, I'll do my little boop. And then, let's see here, I've got a video of some fun I was having trying to scare people with this motion-activated spider. I got some good pictures of the food we made. It's all Halloween themed. Got a mummified head that's a meatloaf and some buffalo chicken dip with a spider web design on it and some other little odds and ends that were pretty cool. Little dessert cinnamon roll intestines thing, and did some skeleton ice cubes and little pumpkin oranges and stuff. I don't know. It was fun. We did some pumpkin carving, and that was about it. So it seems like there's something in the air lately. I know that it seems like the last couple weeks there's been quite a bit of chaos, even more than normal. I know we invited quite a few people, and it's always just about a small percentage of people you invite that get to show up, especially if you run in a pretty active and busy circle. So that part's common, but a lot of funerals, a lot of just abnormal situations instead of the usual. So I hope that curves back down and stabilizes. And I wish everybody the best out there. I hope that we can just kind of see the positive side, try to keep a nice perspective, positive perspective out there. So I've decided to go ahead and make today the final meal before my 24-hour fast. I really want to just go ahead and knock that out. No reason why I can't just do it tomorrow. So it's actually going to be roughly midnight when I finish this video. People left around after 10 o'clock, and then of course I cleaned up the kitchen and put all the food away and stuff, and then kind of moseyed my way in here after everybody was put to bed. So this right here is a well-crafted, relatively nutritious protein shake that I'll be drinking right before bed. And I'm just going to go ahead and fast all day tomorrow and then go to bed again on an empty stomach. And then just begin Monday fresh, and I'm going to eat super clean and super competitively perfect for the rest of this week in preparation for my little jiu-jitsu tournament. It's gonna be interesting because there's actually looks like there's only one person in my division. It's separated not only by weight but by age. And so it's like people in your 30s who are also technically a white belt. So, and it's like, I don't know if he's a white belt that's been a white belt for years or if he's a white belt that's been a white belt for like 3 months like me. But I don't care. It's going to be fun no matter what. And I'm going to get the experience of going out and getting on the mat and, you know, going live competitively. I'm going to get the experience of just seeing the whole, moving parts and in action and just get a taste of, the difference between other types of competitions that I've taken part in versus, the jiu-jitsu world. And it's going to be great because it'll set me up for success in 2020 because I'm gonna be going to more and more competitions. Um, I think that it's a perfect place to advance my skills and to get just that extra boost of experience and also hopefully build some, I don't know, reputation inside the Gracie culture or just kind of prove myself how dedicated I am. Whatever. Maybe just show how I feel about it because that's how I feel about it. I love it and I'm really glad that I began this journey. Um, I've always wanted to go through the formal Gracie Jiu Jitsu structure and make it part of my life. I've thought about it for a long time, but I always had kind of an excuse of why it might not be the right moment. And I was right. I think I was, I think I was right. I don't regret waiting. This is a really balanced time in my life, and it is a really appropriate moment for me to take on something like this because of how serious I can take it and just, I don't know, there's a cultural element to it. It's really not just about learning moves or forms or anything like that. Jiu-jitsu, especially inside this network, is something totally different. And there's a mindset, there's a lifestyle that I believe is necessary to take full advantage of it. And I'm there, and I'm loving it. So that's cool. I had my keyboard I had a little bit of a different setup last night, and I see why the like news anchors and stuff, they have papers in front of them. They read off of teleprompters. There's probably almost nothing on any of those papers, and that's how these are. But for some reason, I just kind of feel, doesn't it just kind of seem, I don't know, I'm being goofy, but I don't know. I really don't have much to talk about. I am tired. I will have more to discuss about that fast and how I felt about it tomorrow, so I don't really need to talk too much more about that tonight. One thing I haven't spoken on is that I had expected for my very vivid, very realistic dreams to come back pretty quickly. And I guess I don't know what quick really is for something like that after having been smoking a lot of weed or whatever. But they're back. They're back in full force. I'm getting dreams where I'm waking up and I'm still in the dream, or I'm like having to kind of sit there for a second and parse out exactly what was in the dream and what I have to like delete from my reality memory bank because I'm sitting here like waking up like, oh, I'm on the run, or like I need to like take care of this thing or whatever it is. But then it's like, oh wait, no, I'm right here, everything's cool. And I don't mean to try to imply that I'm having like crazy dreams or anything. I'm totally comfortable with anything and everything that I am up to in my dreams, whether it's savage or brutal or innocuous or even kind. I mean, it's the full spectrum. It's totally not just any kind of weird hellscape or whatever, but um, it's been a long time since I really had dreams as vivid as I've been having over the last like couple of nights. And I don't know, I feel like I'm in a really good place to explore that. There was a pretty decent period of time in my life. I think it was, I would say probably 2012 to 2015. There's about 2 years inside of that like stretch that, and especially like a good 9 month period where I was working second shift and I had no alarm clock whatsoever. I could just sleep as long as I wanted for a brief time in there. That I was really seriously doing some breathing exercises and some meditation and some lucid dreaming practices, like some dream control practices. And that shit works. I mean, it takes a long time and it's very subtle. Very, very, very subtle. It's not that like weird extreme, uh, like Inception style, like craziness that one might hope for, or at least not for an extremely long time. I've heard some stories and some people talk about what they claim to be able to control and manifest in their dream world, and I'm not one to try to judge and say if that person's lying or not, but I've not experienced the same power yet. But I'm definitely still kind of in the beginning phases of all that. I would say they always say it takes years upon years, and I believe in it though. There's something to it. I don't know how tangibly real it is. I don't know how tangibly real this is. You know what I mean? There's interesting stuff out there beyond what we can just perceive with our body. You know, what do we got? Taste and hearing and sight and smell and touch. That's a really, really, really small, you know, amount of information compared to what's actually out there. So to think that we even have the capacity to feel or to sense enough to get an objective view of reality is a trap. That's arrogance, and it is misleading, and it's just low level thinking. So I don't know how to explain it any better than that, but I'm looking forward to trying. I'll tell you guys what. Um, I need to start doing a little bit more research on exactly the best way to open up the types of accounts necessary for a proper podcast. I might as well just start putting them up on. I think I'm starting to get a sense of who my guests need to be. I've already got my first one scheduled, but I think I'm kind of getting a vision of like number 2, number 3, number 4, like setting up a list. So that's exciting. I don't know. I really don't have necessarily like a full blown ramble idea. I could probably just pitch something out there and start going, but there's no need for some kind of 20 to 30 minute video every single day. Um, it's not bad, I guess, but my original thought process was like 5 to 10 minutes, and it's just kind of gone above that out of just total random happenstance, I guess. But I appreciate it. It's helping me change the way I just interact in general too. Like this whole month's been relatively transformative for myself, and in a good way. I really like it. It's noticeable. I'm just consciously aware, but it's in like a good way. It feels good. A lot of times, one of the reasons why that I would always be searching for some kind of head change or some kind of like higher state or lower state or whatever, depending on how I was thinking about it. I think it was a lot to do with just either being bored with life or being like unsatisfied with what I was up to, and not unsatisfied with like myself or like my current position in that moment. It was like just, I guess bored is defined. It's fine to say. It's just like there's timing that's required in everything, and there's all these ideas I have in my head and all these different possibilities out there, but I've always known that I was a certain type of person, I had a certain type of character, and that my life had to go in this one pattern, this one way, and that if I at first I thought I could fight and force my way through this, like, for lack of a better term, just pattern, or like this series of life events. You know, I kind of, it was really blurry back then, but I did kind of see some kind of path or just inevitability. It's inevitability. And I always made my decisions based on not just what was best for me in the moment, but what I was thinking at the time might keep me from falling into that trap where you like sell your soul or whatever. You know, I wanted to keep my consciousness intact. I wanted to do things like on my own accord, or like by my own way, and not follow some kind of whatever. So now it's like I really feel like that there's some giant massive door that's kind of starting to crack and open in front of me, and it changes the pressure of the room. You ever been in a room and there was a door that was completely sealed off to where that the pressures were different between the outside of the door and the inside of the door, and then when it opens there's like a gust? I feel like I'm experiencing that right now, and I don't even know what's on the other side, but I'm going through that door. I'm gonna go through it slowly and cautiously, and just be okay with it, and just try to see what's there. And I really just need to ask a lot of questions. I need to ask a whole lot of questions, and I really need to start just keeping my mouth shut more. I had that talk yesterday about, I think it was yesterday, about social media and just like this new chapter of interaction with that platform. Well, that felt good, and there's almost like another step that I feel like I need to take, where it's just like that same concept applied to physical contact with people, like verbal like in-person communication. You know, for the last many years, probably like the last 6 or 7 years, definitely the last 5, but I would say like 6 or 7 or 8 years, I've allowed myself to latch onto this notion of extreme honesty. You know, there's extreme ownership, but then or radical honesty, where it's like I should feel totally comfortable just telling the absolute truth, because number one, then you don't have to remember anything. When like actual events and like actual truth, like the non-twisted version of the truth, it's so much easier to remember. It's so much more like tangible. You can feel it almost. Like you can just, I don't know. But when you have this like narrative that is made up, that you have to like constantly be reinforcing, then it changes the way that you do everything. And I get that, and I don't want to fall in that trap. So I've been just saying what I consider to be the utmost truth, or at least my perception of it, no matter the situation, not thinking twice about it. And if I felt like it, I would be forceful, or even like passively antagonistic, possibly. But that's not, that was fine then, it's not fine now. I may have had to have lived like that. I may have had to have lived like that then to feel comfortable living like this now. But either way, twice, speak once. You know, mindless, living an examined life where the examination isn't in retrospect. It used to be that I would just fire from the hip, just just say what was there for me, you know, just right from here out. But I'm not gonna do that anymore. I'm gonna try not to. It's more of a mindful effort, but I have what it takes to start this journey now. And another thing I think I've spoken on in a previous episode, at least touched on it a little bit, was this awkward cognitive dissonance that I've always been kind of fighting with around leadership. Um, I'm fine leading anything in a situation where it's hypothetical, but when it comes to real, tangible world um, efforts or effects, I have completely, almost completely gotten away with not leading anything. I mean, but I think part of that was because I knew somewhere in my brain that I had the capacity to make reckless decisions, and so that was fine with me. But it was fine with me if it was just me that it was affecting. Now there's a whole different thing out there, and I absolutely care more than I ever have about tomorrow and the next day and the next day. And that's in large part to do with my wife and kids. Um, I don't know, there's just no other way around it. Like, what is it called? Domestication or civilized? I don't know. I'm not just gonna throw it all away for anything. Like, I'll just be chill before I. Well, and that leads me to feeling like that I'm finally ready to start some kind of leadership role in a more direct way. So that's exciting, but at the same time, I'm just not done with this like chapter as far as staying behind the scenes. Like I'm behind the scenes right now. Like if you think about it like a concert, my wife is the superstar headliner of the concert, the lead vocalist or whatever, and I am like the team of roadies or whatever that just make sure everything's done to the best of my ability, kind of greasing the gears and just going around the edges, making sure everything's sorted up. And it's super good for me. Like, that is tremendously good for me. It has been. So I cherish that tremendously, and I think, my lucky stars or whatever it is that I've even been given this opportunity. And I don't know, y'all should have never gave me this much of a chance, because I'm using it to the fullest, and there's no telling what's going to manifest. But it's going to be a positive thing. It's going to affect the world in a positive way, and I'm happy about it. So I'm just going to leave with this tonight. There's not that much on this episode, so it's all good. It doesn't all have to be gold, but I'm tired, and I'll catch y'all tomorrow.